Mr. Speaker, I'd like to speak to the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think there's going to be probably a good bit of discussion on this bill. I know that there was in the Senate, and for good reason. I think it's extremely important that when we talk about Virginia's unemployment compensation system, that we recognize how that system is constructed, because if we don't know that, we cannot put the governor's amendments in its proper context. First of all, the Virginia unemployment system is an employer-funded insurance program for those employees who lose their job through no fault of their own. And it is state administered, and the state's primary role is to determine who receives benefits, who does not, and all of us collectively have a responsibility over the solvency of the trust fund. When monies go down in the trust fund below solvency, unemployment taxes have to go up in order to make sure that the trust fund remains solvent. It's sort of like a three-legged stool. There's the interest and needs of the employers. There's the needs of the employees, trying to make them as whole as possible, give them some assistance, a bridge so they can, while they're trying to find a job. And then finally the care and feeding the trust fund so that the monies will be there when they're needed. It's important to also understand sort of where we are in all of this. We have unemployment rates like we have not seen, at least not in my lifetime, in Virginia. Our most recent estimates from the Employment Commission, which were based in the fourth quarter of last year, was that Virginia's unemployment trust fund, the trust fund, would basically be insolvent by the fourth quarter. That as of January, now that's January, we know things have gotten worse. Unemployment has gone up. In January, there was $21 million a week going out of the trust fund to pay for benefits. I feel like we're doing our part. Earlier today, we accepted a set of amendments to a bill that I was the patron on and that we all supported that provided up to 60-plus weeks of benefits, 60-plus weeks of payments. The normal is 26. We were already in a 20-week additional period. We've added another 13 to 20 to that. We absolutely positively are not in any way unaware of the situation, the challenges that Virginia workers, Virginia employees are facing. I have several friends who are unemployed, white-collar workers and blue-collar workers. They're having a heck of a hard time finding a job. And what I do not believe that unemployment insurance should be about, and which I think is the crust of this debate, is twofold. Again, this is an insurance program designed to provide benefits to someone on a temporary basis who's lost their job through no fault of their own. They didn't walk in the door and quit. They weren't fired. They just lost their job because of a lack of business from that particular employer. I don't believe that unemployment insurance should be turned into something of an entitlement program. I don't think it should be turned into a work program per se. I know this doesn't quite do that, but it attempts to do some of those things. Those are exactly the kinds of things, or the discipline that we've had in Virginia, that has allowed our unemployment insurance program to be one of the most efficiently run and one of the least cost in properly achieving that balance between the needs of employers and employees. It's one of the cornerstones of why Virginia is consistently ranked a great place to do business and a great place to live. Now, I don't know why we would want to take Virginia, turn Virginia, and adopt the same policies that our brothers and sisters have to the north, states like Michigan. Why would we want to turn Virginia into a Michigan where they have huge unemployment, problems they cannot solve? Michigan's unemployment system is broke. They've had to borrow $1.3 billion. At the end of this year, whether we pass this bill or not, no matter what we do, we're going to have to borrow money just to keep our trust fund solvent, even with our current situation.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman Fairfax, Mr. Hall.
Would the gentleman be so kind as to yield for a question?
Mr. Speaker, I'll yield to the gentleman when I conclude my remarks
fine.
in just a second. Mr. Speaker, the other thing to understand that I know the gentlelady from Richmond said that this bill adopts 2 of the 4 requirements for the stimulus money for the enhanced benefits. That's not quite right. Here's what I mean. Remember, the underlying bill was a trailing spouse bill. That was like one of the four. That's one of the four. So actually, the underlying bill, which we've already voted on, I didn't vote for it, but the underlying bill actually is the third leg of that. Even though it's limited, it's less broad than what I think Congress had envisioned. So there's probably some monies associated with that. Probably the most important thing I want to say is that unlike the House bill that we passed earlier, that truly was temporary. It was constructed in a way so that there was an enactment clause that would make the provisions of that go away. We're being asked to make a permanent change with temporary dollars. When the dollars go away, we have to pay the money, or rather Virginia employers have to pay the money. Now, some people would say, well, the average tax per employer is only about $99 right now, and that's true. Next year, because of the fund builder tax, it goes up 50%. The year after that, it goes up another 30%. The year after that, it's supposed to go up another 20%. Our recession that we're in right now is more like the one we had in the early 1980s. We're going to be in it for a while, and it's going to unfortunately take us a while to get out of it. And that extra money that we're getting ready to oblige the Commonwealth to pay is a burden upon small business. And understand, when we talk about average rates, that's average rates. Smaller businesses pay the highest rates. Those businesses that have more turnover, where we have more employment, their rates are up in the $400 or $500 per employee. Why would we want to do anything? Why do anything that would create a disincentive for an employer to hire back an unemployed person? I mean, unemployment is important, but unemployment is not employment. The best unemployment program is employment for the citizens of Virginia. Mr. Speaker, I think that this moves us in the wrong direction. It's sort of counterintuitive. So I hope, Mr. Speaker, that we will not accept the governor's amendments. I'll be happy to yield.
Thank you, ma'am.